Welcome to Gen 365 podcast. This is an initiative of Beyond the Veil Mission. And this is a podcast for the community to empower a generation of healing and hope 365 days of the year. Before we begin, I want to remind you the meaning of humanity or Ubuntu. I am because you are. I am because we are. Therefore, to create a safe and brave space for all of us, we must remember that my healing is as good as my community healing. This is a podcast for everyone who loves the community. If you are listening to this new episode, I want you to remember that we see you and you matter. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Thank you again and welcome to the Gen 365 podcast. This is Lydia Nimbesha, your host. We thank you so much for following our conversation from our first episode for the Survivor series. One good news, this has been one of the highest podcasts that many people listen to. So thank you so much. And today we are bringing you the second conversation about the saying hello again with another survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi. She is amazing. She is special to us. But I'm going to take the time to introduce her. And before I introduce her, I want to remind everyone following this conversation, this can be a sensitive conversation. It can be a triggering conversation. In any way you feel uncomfortable, in any way you feel discomfort, please feel free to stop the conversation. If you need support in your area, do not hesitate. However, I want to remind you that some of the conversation we can have here, you might relate to them and it might be uncomfortable. So, yes. So first, I'm going to say hi to our Consolee, our guest. Hi, Consolee. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Consolee Nishimwe, many people know her. But before I introduce who she is, I want to say that, if you never listened to our episode on the Saying Hello Again, the purpose of this episode is more, to give the space to survivors to process ways, to process our griefs, to process our losses in a very positive, in a very transformative ways. And this is an opportunity for us to really discuss many things. Most of us never got a closure, but, we're trying on many ways to remember our loved ones, to carry on their legacy in every possible way that we can. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Consolee. However, there's even if you put in Google right now, Consolee Nishimwe, you can learn so much about this girl's work. And we are a fan of her. She's a great advocate. But, in a simple way, not a simple way because she's not simple, but in a brief way, she is a motivation speaker, a survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi of 1994 in Rwanda. Consolee, she's very committed to speaking on the genocide. She's a defender of women's rights. She is an advocate of the genocide survivors. In 2012, she released her memoir called Tested to the Limit. You can find it on Amazon. You can, again, Google the name Consolee Nishimwe. You can find somewhere to buy that book, but in an easy way. If you can access Amazon, that's a simple way to get the physical copy or be able to read online as well. So Consolee has received many awards and she has also been featured on many TV station news like Fox, Voice of America, UN African Renewal Magazine, and so many. And actually, every year, Consolee always get an opportunity or also bless our community as one of the United Nations panelist speaker to talk more about her story as the survivor. So I can say more, but I'm gonna give her more space as well. Consolee, is there anything that I forgot? Again, she's from London, but she lives in the beautiful city of New York. Is there anything you want to tell the audience that they can know about you?
Oh, thank you so much, Lydia, for your kind words. Your beautiful way of describing me. I'm so honored and humbled. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, yes, Consolee, of course, like you mentioned. So I don't think there's anything you forgot, but I'm so humbled.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much.
The most important thing, I'm a Rwandan. I'm a sister. Daughter, so that's what matters the most. So and I'm here, and I'm a part of Beyond. I'm happy to be part of this beautiful family, Beyond the Veil family, and
thank you. Yay!
So that's the most important thing. So yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We need to start a category of friends of Beyond the Veil or Beyond the Veil family. Actually, last Saturday we had an event for saying hello again. First of all, that was one of the beautiful, intimate moments I think I've ever spent with survivors. I cannot describe how touching the event was. And this girl was like, how can I become a member of Beyond the Veil? I was like, oh, girl, now you're giving us, we really need that. We need to create this big family of Beyond the Veil. So thank you so much for many ways to support.
Incredible family, yeah, and everyone will love to be part of this beautiful.
Oh my God, thank you so much. Thank you. We love to hear that. Anyhow, yes, we had our event. It was a success, but we are so happy to have this conversation of saying hello again with Consolee. I think saying hello again, Kinyarwanda, we can say intashyo, gutasha, abiwachu, it's yes, we're gonna have like 6 parts touching on the history, but everything is more of like, how we process our griefs as survivors of the genocide against the Tutsi, how we really relate to our losses, and how it has transformed us and impacted us. So, and there's more than to one story on how we process that. This is why saying hello again gives us an opportunity not only to see those painful memories and to also see, sad to say, that some of the strength and gifts and values and dreams that come with the people we lost and all of that. So it's going to be 6 parts. One part is going to touch on the history, culture of how we grieve, physical place we associate with the comfort when we are grieving or coping, some of the skills that we use to cope with our losses and griefs. And the 4th part, we touch on the supportive system that help us to go through those moments. These are the people that work with us. Then we're going to talk about gifts and contributions to each other's lives through our losses. What are the gifts, people that we love left to us that we wish to carry on? So, and then lastly, we're going to talk about, values and hopes and dreams, we wish to carry on or we continue to carry on. These are amashami, the way we say, Twarashi would say, these are our values, these are our dreams, how we are achieving that together. So, Consolee, feel free. If you want water, if you need to stretch, and we want to tell you, I forgot to say this, how we lost our podcast.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah, it happened. So.
Oh my God. We recorded a conversation, a very intimate one. This is the first time I've recorded podcasts. No, I've recorded Zoom recording since maybe 2019 and this is my first time losing one. I tried to find it anywhere. I couldn't find it. I was like,
you will find it. For some reason, I thought if you keep digging, somehow you might find it somewhere.
YouTube, studying, going into every part of the computer. I was like, how can this happen? You know what? Everything happened for a reason.
For a reason. I always believe that. There's a reason why. Maybe God wanted us to be here again.
Yes.
No, maybe there's something else God wanted us to share. Maybe we have.
Yeah, especially how I love having a conversation with you. Very therapeutic. So maybe God wanted me to sit with you again and talk. Yeah.
And I'm so happy to be back and to be here, you know. I enjoyed our conversation and it's so beautiful to do this again. So
thank you. So let's go ahead. We're gonna start with ways that our history and culture allow us or do not help us on our healing journey. And I want to ask you, as a survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi, you have had to deal, for sure, you have had to deal with loss and grief. And I'm going to say another thing. Loss is not just people we lose through death. Loss can be a part of your body. Loss can be your childhood. It can be lost through marriage. It can be, because through the genocide against the Tutsi, we did not just lose people. We lost our dignity. We lost our childhood. We lost our values. We lost so many things. That is why even our healing is so complex because it's like there's so many areas to touch. But I want to ask you, as a survivor, I know there are many losses you have experienced, but is there a particular one that comes the most to your memory that you have to deal with? And how did you go with that? If you can tell us a story, but again, in a way that makes you comfortable.
I want to thank you again for having me here. And
thank you.
For everyone who is listening, this is a very safe space to be. You feel at ease and comfortable. I'm so happy to be here. So, responding to the question you asked, it's like you said, we've lost a lot. As a survivor, we've lost so many things, especially as young people. Our generation, speaking as a young person, you've lost not only people, almost everything.
Yes.
But one of the things that was hard for me is being robbed, my innocence robbed from me. At the tender age of 14, being that happy girl with your parents, being protected and all that, and suddenly you are violated. Not only just a brutal violence, being raped is not an easy thing for anybody. And then at the tender age of 14, it's hard to bear that pain to even describe what it feels like within your mind, every day it's not easy. So for me, that was one of the hardest things among many, many painful things that I've gone through during the genocide, but for me to deal with. So after the genocide, even finding the words to describe what I felt was not easy. So, and then I was not the only person among girls and women who had to carry that pain. And then we in a culture where, as a woman, you don't even talk about your body, culture, you don't necessarily talk about, as a random culture, we don't necessarily talk much about our pain easily. And even describing what you are going through, it's not easy. So I had to carry that pain within myself for so long. for so long, and
Mm-hmm.
imagine it was not easy to cope. It was not easy
Mm-hmm.
to knowing what I was carrying within myself, but at the same time, I had to move on with my life, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it was affecting me a lot in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, among survivors, I'm one of the fortunate who survived with a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So if through her, pain she was carrying within herself, but she had also to carry my own pain. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to, at least I had someone to lean on her shoulder, even though we never went into deep about what I was carrying within myself. But at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, her shoulder and her presence
Mm-hmm.
and however whatever ways we can deal with our trauma. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like if I think about it, I feel like that was one of the things that helped me the most to
Yes.
have that person around, beside me. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and other than that, it was too much and too
Yes.
painful for me to carry that within
Mm-hmm.
myself, person. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like any other survivor who have gone through that, they can understand what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and some of them even have gone through worse than I've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
Rape,
Mm-hmm.
it was one of the worst thing that
Mm-hmm.
anyone could go through during the genocide in most heinous way.
Mm-hmm.
And for
Mm-hmm.
me, I feel like they are the ones also who have gone through even worse than I've gone through.
Mm-hmm.
But that pain really was hard for me to carry. Yeah,
Yeah.
for so long. Yeah, until I was able to start
Mm-hmm.
from. Yeah.
Thank you, Consolee. And we are always amazed on how, your courage
Yeah.
to share your story. And you say something, we can understand your pain. I think I would say we can relate, but we cannot understand what you went through. We cannot. There's this author, Kenneth Docker. They asked him, "What is the worst loss?" Because sometimes, especially as survivors, when I hear Consolee, which is good, because I can hear you and be like, "Oh my God, I'm not alone. Someone first the worse than me. I'm gonna be okay." It can encourage me in a way, but at the same time, the worst loss is the one that happened to you. We can't even say it was this type, what kind, how it was. It's always what happened to you, because you're the only one who can understand how it feels like. Even for survivors, yes, we have a collective trauma, but yet it's very individual. So thank you so much for finding the courage. And I want to ask you, I'm curious to know, is there some of the particular ways in your culture, within your culture, that are significant to you, that help you to cope with your losses and the griefs? Like some of the, I can use the coping mechanism that our culture use that you find more significant, that you feel like, I can use this when I'm grieving or processing my losses.
Okay. Personally, I'm sure it's something that it probably I have, even other survivors, have used before.
Mm-hmm.
Having fellow survivors
Mm-hmm.
around you as a community
Mm-hmm.
really helps so much. And because you don't feel like you're alone. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that community around you, even if you might not necessarily go into your pains and suffering you've gone through, but at
Mm-hmm.
least around each other. So to me, having them around me in my community where I was living at that time in Rwanda, really
Mm-hmm.
that helped. So all the time I felt like I was not alone being alone. So
Yes.
and we comforted each other the way we could.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So and at least for me, that gave me the strength to feel like I can live, even though I was
Mm-hmm.
feeling the pain within me,
Mm-hmm.
even though I was not ready yet to
Mm-hmm.
talk about what I've gone
Mm-hmm.
through. But at the same time, I felt the protection. It's like a protection you can describe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because you have around people who have similar experiences like you.
Yes.
You
Mm-hmm.
feel like you understand each other, even if you might not necessarily talk about what you've gone
Mm-hmm.
through.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that helped. That was the first thing that helped a lot. And
Mm-hmm.
also, fortunately, like I mentioned earlier, having a mother really is something
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
not taken for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know so many fellow survivors have lost entire families. They have
Yes.
nobody. So many children who have raised themselves, so well, like how hard it is to raise your siblings without any, parent figure to be there
Mm-hmm.
with.
Mm-hmm.
Being
Mm-hmm.
survivor is really hard to deal with that. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
fortunate because at least I had a mother I can go
Yes.
to. Thankfully, my mom, I always talk about her now because, she's my mom, but I know how important she has been in my life, having her,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't think, I don't know how my life would have been without her,
Mm-hmm.
because of what I've gone through. And
Mm-hmm.
her, despite her pain, she managed to never allow her pain um, to make her bitter.
Yes.
And she carried so much pain within her, a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but
Mm-hmm.
she never allowed the pain to make her feel, be a bitter
Mm-hmm.
person. So
Mm-hmm.
she always had love to everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
even still, she has so much love to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things she did for me that helped me in the early stages of right after the genocide, when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Mm-hmm.
created a safe space. I don't know if she
Mm-hmm.
knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as a teacher, she was a teacher. I always feel like because teachers know psychology, they
Yes.
know what they
Mm-hmm.
do.
They know
Uh,
like almost everything.
but without telling you, she never really said anything. She just
Mm-hmm.
did, through
Mm-hmm.
action. So, and she created a safe space, and which I really understood later how it helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Because later in my life, I understood how that has helped a lot.
Yes.
So what she did, I remember in her bedroom, I used to go in her bedroom a lot whenever she's sleeping or, taking a nap. And I took a chair in her bedroom,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and every evening, most of the evenings, a lot of evenings, whenever
Mm-hmm.
not in school or I just came from school
Mm-hmm.
or even during vacation, I would just go sit there and have
Oh
my
my
legs
God.
I would just stretch my legs.
Oh my God. I remember. Wow.
I would just stretch my legs. And I don't even know what I was talking, like I would
Mm-hmm.
just have conversations with her.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes she won't necessarily talk. She will be
Mm-hmm.
quiet. And, like sometimes there will be some music in her radio.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Whenever I felt, I needed to leave, I would just leave.
Oh
And
my God.
it was a ritual thing that stopped until I left Rwanda. So
Wow.
it
By the
was
way, when did you leave Rwanda, Consolee?
December 2002.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, and it was
That's
a
a long
ritual.
time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. It was a ritual thing we did, and somehow it just happened. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I talk about it, how helpful it was, but she never thought too much about it. I mean, as if she was doing something that to make her kid feel comfortable, but
Mm-hmm.
she never thought how much I was thinking about it. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
told her, you don't know, this you did really helped,
Mm-hmm.
really. It actually bonded us. It bonded us more,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm truly grateful. That was one of the things that helped me. Every time I used to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
because I was not I was not living in the school. I was what do
Mm-hmm.
you,
There,
I was
there
externe.
is
How do you call
boarding
it?
school, or how did we call the one that you go to school and you go home? Internana, is it externa?
Externa.
Yeah, boarding school was
Externa.
externa.
I'm sure Rwandans, most of the Rwandans will understand.
Yeah, yeah.
And because in the beginning, when I started going to school in a junior high school, right after the genocide, because I was in high school when the genocide, started. I remember I stayed on 1 year in that school in Kigali because I was uncomfortable. I felt really uncomfortable being there. Because I told my mom I need to switch schools, and she said, "You know what? Just come."
Yes.
I switched school, and that's when that ritual routine.
Oh.
And then because that year when I was in Kigali, if you look at my bulletin, that's red everywhere, red. So
I'm sorry that we're laughing, but I'm so sorry.
So it's almost as if I was not doing nothing, in the class. Everything was just nightmares,
Yes.
like
Yes.
almost like you're sitting in the classroom, nothing. You're not listening to a teacher.
Yes.
And I don't know if many survivors really, a lot of survivors can relate to this. And I had, anybody to tell us, or, help us through that journey. The only thing they were expecting is just to do the same way like any other kid in the classroom.
Yes.
And as survivors, it was very tough. We just came from the not too long after the genocide. And then now you are supposed to just be like everybody else. It was not easy. I just sat in the classroom like a robot. I don't know. It just nothing. Everything was nightmares.
Yes.
And I looked as if I was not a smart kid in the classroom, a smart student. But remember how smart I was before.
I know.
Tough for me. And I told my mother it was really, really tough for her. She said to me, come here. And that's how I decided not to go far away from home. And actually it really helped. It really helped. I started getting better in the classes. So, and even wanting to do things normally I would not want to do because I joined, some student who wanted to do traditional dance, which was so big for me.
Yeah.
And that got me through my high school because I was like, feeling like there's something, that is distracting me. And still, I'm carrying the pain. I'm carrying all, a lot of pain I've never been able to release yet. But I was having something to distract me. Traditional dance, and then I'll talk to my mom, and then I'll have fellow survivors in the community whenever we get a chance to.
Yes.
Socialize. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I hear you're like, when I heard this story of your mom creating that safe space, I cannot stop imagining how beautiful it is. And even thinking about her, she's carrying her own pain, but you're right, you're saying, I am lucky as a survivor to have my mother. Because with all the pain you had, I'm actually happy for you that you had your mother. And one thing I want to mention to our audience, if you ever hear me laughing, there are some things as survivors we can laugh about. It's like, when we're doing saying the Hello Again event, we asked some of the ways that survivors cope. One brought up laughing. And we started telling some stories during the genocide. All things happened that we remember now. It's painful, but yet we find ways to laugh about it. So I am not being insensitive. I am really, it's like when Consolee speaks, especially myself being a survivor, it's like I relate to many of her stories. Then, our ways of healing comes with both ways, pain and laughter. So I just wanted to mention that. But, I'm loving that community support, traditional dance. I think I and my siblings and cousin, we actually got that support, traditional dancing. Those things really helped us, and I am so grateful for that. But that story of your mom with the chair, and I feel I feel like a movie just about like, or maybe a documentary, like reenacting that scene of you and your mom. Maybe some people playing you and your mom. I never stopped imagining, because
Yeah.
in my room when we did the other podcast that we lost, I was sitting in my room and I could see the bed and the chair, your mom just listening. And
And she'll be laying on her side, not even like she'll always lay on her side. I always remember that image.
anyone in the film listening to us, can you please recreate this? Because, therapy professional is so good, but when you hear many survivors, they tell you, I got more support from my fellow survivors, because we don't need to explain. When we say, Consolee says something like, someone who listened to your heart. And I can see your mom, you knowing that my mom is listening to my heart. And I can talk and, imagining even my kids. I'm being a terrible host, but I'm in my feelings. Even my kids, when they talk to me and I'm tired and they keep talking, but they know if mom is sleeping, I know she's listening. That's really beautiful. Anyhow, thank you so much. Just concluding this first part of the history and culture. Are there ways, some aspect in our culture that are used to respond to grief that you think they do not fit well with you?
That's a good question. All of us love our culture.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So many good things and bad things in every culture. So
Mm-hmm.
things that you feel like, I don't think. But we all love our cultures, but you have to admit there are some things that are not good, especially when you are somebody who has trauma or
Yes.
the pain
Mm-hmm.
or the things you've gone through. So expressing your pain could be hard because
Mm-hmm.
of those things. So for
Mm-hmm.
me, one of the things that I do not like is when especially for survivor, when you talk about like a rape, for instance, like a rape,
Mm-hmm.
you feel like it's not easy to tell, you don't feel like there's a space, easy space
Mm-hmm.
for you
Mm-hmm.
to be yourself.
Yes.
And I remember right after the genocide, I
Mm-hmm.
used to tell people every time before I even talked about my painful experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I hear people saying about women, oh, uriya, uriya nawe baramubohoje.
Oh,
Everybody is just talking about the women that they know who have gone through rape in the genocide.
yes.
It's like everybody is almost like pointing, oh, that one too. Oh my gosh.
Using that to describe you as your identity.
As your identity, but at the same
Yes.
time, it's almost like showing like you are no longer
A virgin, you're no longer the ideal Rwandan woman, marriage material, things like that.
material who is gonna, accept you, to
I
marry
am
you.
so sorry.
And
Mm-hmm.
I've heard those stories a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Women were being talked to,
Yes.
everybody will talk about it, and it will really
Mm-hmm.
depend.
Yes.
And I always thought if they know what happened to me, what would they
Mm-hmm.
say?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I used to hear those stories a lot, and they would be so painful.
Yes.
And I never heard anybody saying a thing about the perpetrator, like, oh, this is horrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was more about focusing on the survivor, like, oh my gosh, who is gonna like what, like as if you're no longer, imagine when you keep hearing things like that, it's not going to be easy for you to express, what you're, that's the reason why you don't see a lot of
Yeah.
women survivors, even girls, share their rape because
No.
they worry about what the family or anybody around them say about them, how
Yeah.
they're going to see them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really this the society itself doesn't give you a safe space, to be able to share, unless you're somebody who force yourself, like people
I
like that,
know. Mm-hmm.
you
And
know.
Consolee, thank you so much. Because even like among my siblings, I'm the one who tries to tell the story. Like my siblings are always like, if I even see their tweet, I'm like, thank you, Jesus. Like, then we can talk about it in private. But I know many survivors, especially even the survivors from the adult community, those ones, if you hear even one story, you thank God. It's because how do you even put this in words of what happened to you? And when you're saying about the shame, imagine you survive sexual violence and then you have to face shame. You're reminding me one, there is a quote, I don't remember someone who said it. They said, rape is the only violence where a victim become a criminal and the criminal become the victim. And you say that nobody talk about perpetrators.
Yeah.
How they did and what they did. Now the focus is on you as a survivor. And I can't even dare to ask you, how was it what happened? They thought just saying that, especially many women who, and I remember one time we had a conversation, me and you, and we're like, in our circle, if we know 5 women, at least 4 of them has experienced any form of sexual either harassment or any form. So,
Yes.
and I can imagine you're a survivor of the genocide against the Tutsi, robbed your youth, and then when you go to talk, because I'm not going to lie to you, every time you hear, oh, do you know Consolee? Then the next conversation is Consolee, who was this and this during the genocide against the Tutsi. And it hurt me so much. I'm like, oh my God. When we created this podcast, the purpose was the community. My healing is as good as my community healing. Right. We cannot tell people to heal if we don't inform our community of how to create those safe space. When I disclose this information as a survivor, then you make it my identity, how harmful it is. There's so much. Even think about your bio, what I read, right? All these things, I didn't even read. It has like 5 paragraphs. Maybe combined, I read like 1 paragraph. Look at all the things you are, even more. But when people see you, this is who you are. But I'm so grateful for the work that you do, especially women rights defender. Thank you for that courage to speak up, because you speak for many voices. And I feel like it's a huge responsibility we put on you. And just always remember that there are people like us that appreciate you.
Thank you.
Just beyond. Because without you, our stories won't be heard in places where you have been. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really appreciative having sisters like you, having people, all of us. This is our place, all of us together. So we are here for even our fellow survivors who cannot speak, who cannot even like share their testimonies. I remember one time my mom told me, she's one of the people that we have done this healing together too, and very, very supportive of me sharing our stories, including the part that she knows. I always say it's our part, it's our story together, even though it
Yes.
happened to me, but it's our story
It
together.
is our story. Yes.
Yeah. And she said to me one time, someone like we were mentioning earlier about what's hard in the society, how the society sometimes doesn't give that safe space to people to share. That's why Beyond the Veil is so important, and these safe spaces are so important, is to create a place where women feel. That's why I always talk about kindness. Let's just be there for each other. No matter whatever pain anybody is carrying, if they are trying to share their pain with you, just be present.
Yes.
Just be present. It doesn't matter how they share their pain, because we all sometimes we don't know how to describe what we are feeling. And for me, that's why I always say, be kind. Just be present and be kind. So really, that helps anybody who is trying to share their pain with you. You are opening the door for that person's, journey of healing. So I remember my mom told me once, someone told her, that's how it shows you like how hard it is to share these stories. And someone told her, who was a survivor too, a woman, actually probably was afraid, always afraid to share painful stories. And she said to my mom, she said, why did you allow her to share that part? Sorry. She could have shared everything. Why did you allow her to share the rape part, what she has gone through as And my mom actually took the time to educate her how it helps other people too.
Yeah.
She said she didn't, and she told her that it's exposing myself. That's how she's exposing herself. And then my mom had to explain to her, no, that's not exposing herself. It's more of helping each other. So because that's one painful thing women and girls have gone through. So, and we need to support each other. We need to help each other to tell those stories, to even begin the journey. So, and thank God my mom, it could have been, different. She could have told me to not share that story, but for her, she understands the importance of sharing the story, and that's why I always talk about her. She's a very unique person.
Yeah. God knew that you needed her. I think we are always here for a particular purpose, and I think God knew that, and I'm so grateful that you have her. And I know you
always happy when I'm with everybody that we have, like here with everybody we have, we share our story together. So, and that's why I'm so grateful to be here. I'm truly grateful.
Thank you. And I like that you said that it's our story, because when you share that, I feel like, we, even if we can't carry the whole thing, but I feel like, we carry maybe a piece of it with us, then it's no longer heavier on you. So even if people are not comfortable telling in public, because people misunderstand sharing your story to go in public. People have many ways they share their story, because the healing of trauma, more you unpack, more you heal. So the part of sharing of what happened to you can really be helpful on your healing journey. But I want survivor to know that it's not necessarily going in front of people to talk. You can be with your friend, like Consolee with your mom if you have, or your sibling, just to talk to anybody that you feel. You can even be through journaling. So if you can write your thoughts, that's also helpful. And you mentioned that about your room, that's a place of comfort. But I want to know now, is there any place of comfort that you go to that bring you comfort in relation to your losses now?
Before probably I say more about to the question you asked. You mentioned about not everybody's supposed to be public about their experiences. I always also remind fellow survivors, anybody who think they probably have to be public and all that. No, you shouldn't be. Not everybody's supposed to. As long as the most important thing, find the people, the right person who can, like someone like Lady Beyond the Veil, where you can be, they can listen to you, they can help you, like through therapy, therapists. So somewhere you can, you feel safe, but you don't have, not everybody's supposed to know, safe. So, and also journaling. Journaling has been, it's one of us coming to also the question. One of the things that I love to do, and I feel like it's so comfortable and safe for me.
Yeah.
Journaling. That's where my book came from. My book came from journaling.
Wow.
And, so it came from my journals. And the way I started journaling is because I went to therapy. I know therapy is not, maybe, I don't know if probably so well. It's not something many Rwandans do. So, thankfully, I went to therapy. And for therapy, I started journaling, and now journaling became almost my comfort place, even with small things that everyday life, the happy moments, the good, sad moments, or anything, anything. I really put all these, or because I have two journals actually.
Yes.
I have, I have many journals, but talking two journals, but I separate from what I'm feeling. I have a gratitude journal.
Wow.
Gratitude journal. That's where I have to put everything that I'm grateful for every day.
Was that inspired? Because I remember in the podcast, I keep saying the podcast we lost. Now this podcast is gonna be part of our losses.
I know, it's one of our losses.
You shared that after the genocide, your dad's journal, was it a journal, became your place of comfort. You will bring it in class. Can you share about that? And before you go to that, I wanted to say something. I know when you say like many Rwandans don't go to therapy, there's also a say that Black people don't go to therapy.
Oh, okay.
It's actually a stereotype. We don't go because there's no appropriate support for us. Why would I go waste my time?
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, that's okay. That's okay. Because many times we hear in these spaces that Black people don't want therapy, Rwandans don't respond. But what type of support are we receiving?
That's a good way of saying that.
People tell you, when you, like, people who approach us, they're always like, I've tried this, but I didn't feel comfortable because of it. Maybe the space that was offered to me, I felt like it wasn't enough. It wasn't good for me. And I need to ask much because I know what they mean. So that's why we are working so hard to improve the cultural appropriate mental health support that goes to our people. Because it's not even about our people. Mental health support has to be culturally sensitive and acknowledging a community they're serving. So going back to that story, I know you shared that how your dad's journal became your comfort. Can you share with the audience?
Yes, thank you for reminding me that. I remember, our loss, our loss podcast, we shared a lot actually, so many times. Thank God you remember that. When I was in high school, I remember because, every time, you're in the classroom, you have to go through the thoughts of what you've gone through. And luckily, one time I found my dad's notebook.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't know how I found it, but it was a notebook that he used in school, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just one notebook. So my
Mm-hmm.
dad had beautiful handwriting. So
Mm-hmm.
the only thing I did, I didn't even tell my mom or anybody else that I had that notebook.
Mm-hmm.
I took it every day in my bag, in my everyday bag going to school.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I feel like, something, the pain and all the things you never know what goes through your head every time you're sitting as a survivor, everything pops out. Whenever they want, they just come out in your brain. So
Mm-hmm.
I used to take out my dad, making sure nobody sees me. And
Mm-hmm.
I would just touch it with my,
Mm-hmm.
my and
Mm-hmm.
every page, it wasn't not a big notebook. It was just
Mm-hmm.
a few pages. I
Mm-hmm.
would just touch it, just touch it,
Wow. Wow.
just with my hand like this, like
Mm-hmm.
just touch
Oh.
the page and look. And then every time I did it, I felt good. Then I
Wow.
would go back to my, regular day feeling
Mhm.
good. And
Wow.
really, I feel like my dad's notebook has been also uh, a way of helping me through my school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without
Mm-hmm.
necessarily knowing what I was doing, to
Mm-hmm.
be honest, I don't know how I didn't know it was going to help me. It's just
Mm-hmm.
because of the connection I had with my dad. My dad was very close to me
Mm-hmm.
and he loved him so much. I missed him a lot, so many
Mm-hmm.
ways.
I
And
know.
everything I was doing, I missed him. I like everything, the pain,
Mm-hmm.
suffering, I missed my dad. Even though my
Mm-hmm.
dad was there, present,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
somehow I feel like we both missed him,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and it was, and that notebook became like, a help for me throughout my time in school, in high school. And
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I'm grateful that I had it. It really became
Mm-hmm.
really helpful for me. So thank you for reminding me that that notebook saved my life in high
Oh
school.
my God. Do you still have it?
My mom has it. I have to make sure she keeps it well. She still has it. She kept it.
Oh my God. That's amazing. Yo, that's especially your age when you lost your dad. That's like the age where like girls bond with their father. And I can see how that was very tough. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm glad at least you had that peace
Yeah.
to hold on. I think I have a letter of my father addressing to the minister.
I
The letter
remember
looks
you
like
mentioned that. Yes, I
pink.
remember.
Yeah, it looks like pink. And when I see it, I'm like, oh, my dad wrote to the minister. Oh, it's like, for me, it's like, wow, your dad was someone special. So
You
you're gonna,
smile.
it's like dreams, like, cause my dad was more into education. So, you know, it was like a letter addressing to the minister things about education, stuff like that. So he had a school. And actually, many of my family members went to school because of my dad. So I
Mm.
think that letter, it's like a motivation piece that your father, regardless working in an environment that was discriminating them, look at what he achieved in that space. It's like, even as wherever we go, especially being Black, we face so many discrimination. But I always know, even with my kids, I always tell them the justice you can give yourself is to snatch every opportunity you get
Yes.
and achieve your dream. Once you have the power, you can fight the system back. But we can fight the system with nothing. So I encourage them, you go to school, everywhere there's injustice, but we keep our eyes on the goal. For
Yes.
me to fight this, I need to have something. My community need to have something. And it's not that we're suppressing the pain. We come home, we talk about it, we process that, and I can see when an intervention is needed or not. But I have to teach them to be resilient. And I think that piece of letter as well remind me that. So if you're a survivor, I know, lucky enough, some of you got something. In many, many cases, people were left with nothing to remember with. So, yeah, we have you in our hearts. We do.
So much for sharing that too. It's there are some things probably survivors think they were not helpful for them. They are not important to say to sometimes those small things like a notebook, I never thought too much about it. I share it with somebody, they say, "Oh wow, that's so deep," And there are some things that have helped us, as survivors, and it's so good to hold on to that. Don't take it as if it was that it's meaningless, Yes, I believe. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for helping me also to share that too. And I'm sure someone it could be something small, something you think it's small, but it has helped you. It's so good to help.
I think I'm gonna ask that to our social media page when we release the podcast. If people can share those pieces that, if they have them, because really those things help us to keep these memories alive, and like you and me, can bring us comfort, can motivate us. Yeah, thank you. And I'm curious to know, and if your dear loved one, like especially your dad, could see you through their loving eyes, what are the helpful things they can see that you are using to cope and seek comfort during the difficult times when you're dealing with loss and grief? Like, let's see, your dad can see Consolee right now, can be like, "Oh my God, my girl is trying to do this to cope with this."
One of the things that when I went through therapy and everything that I wanted, because when I was up to that age of 14 years old, I was a happy girl. I was that happy girl who was always bubbly and laughing, and around my parents or anybody around me, my siblings were so fun. We all of us were like, I would say we're happy kids, all of us. But my personality, I was more of like bubbly and all that, laughing. And I wanted one of the things that I wanted is for my father, if he could see me, to see me joyful and having, a happy life. Not necessarily like I won't be sad, but to see me whenever that part of my personality show, like I love music. I know people are happy to see me dancing. I thought I would go back to being that happy dance, girl. I love dancing, really. I'm not a good dancer, but I love dancing. Is one of my thing. I love music and dancing. So, and it's one of my favorite things. So, and I think my dad will be happy to see me doing that. And, just being silly, not being like not taking myself too serious, that part of my personality. I think even my mom loves it. So, and I think my dad will be happy to see that, to see that part of me. I worked hard to go back to that place again, and also to see me. And every time I used to think about my dad, I always feel like my dad was kind. Everything he did was, very kind to everybody. And actually, my dad was, somebody who every time I get a message from, a friend or some people that I know in a community, your dad was a good teacher. Your dad was this. As a teacher, you are very known in the community, and somehow you've done something to someone, as a teacher, and to see, if the things people talk about my dad, how kind, every whatever they say, everything they say, they come to his kindness, to his heart. Person, it was a very, a person who welcomes everybody with his heart. You know, not like he gave his heart to people. And not only that, he loved sports, and he used to, you know, maybe that's why he gave it a little energy, sport. And he, and I remember, one thing my mom told me, one time my dad, because of the persecution, being a Tutsi, going to school and you are being persecuted, but even though you're doing a good job, every parent wants to bring your child to your class, but still you are being treated, you know, bad. And one time my mom told him and said, maybe you should change career and do something else, because I don't feel good whenever I see you being treated this way.
Yes.
When everybody actually appreciate what you do, because my dad was a very sweet man, very sweet man. So, and my dad told my mom, no, I have to, you know, God is going to ask me what I did and not what others did to me.
Yes.
So I have to know, he's going to ask me every kid that came to me or everybody else, how I treated them, not how they. So, and that became really a powerful thing for me throughout my life. Whenever I go through pain or anything, I always sit about my dad, what my dad would do.
Yes.
What my dad would do. So that's why I always pray and always pray to be kind. I hope I'm a kind person.
Yes.
Because I wanted to feel like whoever comes to me, whoever is in my presence, feels loved and cared for, even if I may not have so much to do, but I feel they feel valuable in my presence.
Yes.
So, and I don't necessarily, you know, pray for too many things. I pray for them. So, and I want to be kind. So
you are. This is something anybody can read through your page, through your message, because there are people, especially people like you in your position, famous people.
Okay? Well, I don't think I'm famous.
okay, but maybe I cannot. I don't know if I can use famous, but
no,
you are a public figure, right? Yeah, you can be like, oh my God, how do I talk to them? I need to know someone who knows them to talk to them. But I feel like with you, the first time I talked to you, I came straight because I felt like, oh, you can talk to her. Like, you don't know her, but it feels like, you know, when people are engaging with you, it feels like anyone can talk to you. And I feel like, you know, that kindness is the gift you have. And, yeah, it's really, you have it. It's not even forcing it. I think it's a gift you have. And, I like the part of, like, you know, a happy girl. That's really a blessing. I like that you said that I was able to get that part. It's not that easy, but I'm so happy that you have that. And I'm curious to know, does anybody know that you have this gift?
I hear sometimes what I hear a lot, especially people are always around me, or maybe people I meet a lot often, or even I interact with a lot. They tell me I hear they tell me I'm a person who is present. So yes, they tell me good things, you know, like I'm so appreciative whenever they tell me I'm kind, but I appreciate that a lot. And I always say, thank you, God. So,
so when they tell you that, that brings gratitude in your life.
It's a gratitude to me, and I know I'm not perfect. I am not really perfect at all. But I
do
always
not need to be perfect because we are not God. That even God does not expect you to be perfect. So
yeah,
we're good.
And I hear also, and one of the things that I'm so grateful for, whenever I hear it also from my mom. my mom, and she's the sweetest, kindest person. But she always tells me that too. You are my. I say, oh, thank you, Mama. Thank you. I'm grateful. Yeah. Mm.
Wow. So I need to know also in your corner, in your, the people around you, your supportive system, who I know you said your mom, but now, especially you live in New York, and who are people standing with you during the storms of life? And what are the ways they support you? Who are those people?
I'm so one of the people. I'm so grateful for the people that I have in my life. I have fellow survivors. Some of them live in different places. Some who are very close to me. Like they are my sisters, they are my brothers. I have some of them that we talk to each other a lot. I feel like whenever I need to bear my heart. That's the word used, bear. Or even, it doesn't matter what I feel. It could be dating, it could be anything about life in general. Most people are there to listen to me, and in my whenever I need to be silly, whenever I need to be, we do it to each other. So, and I feel I'm so blessed to have those people. Those who are I could call my close, best friends, and mostly, they live in different places, but not necessarily in New York. In New York, I have some who are very close to me, who are here, but I also have others who live in different places, and they're diverse, men and women.
Wow.
So I'm close to all, I'm not one of those people who have only women. I have also who are close to me.
There's somebody who said relationships are different from men and women. They give, we benefit from them in a different ways. And I got that. It's good to have in your corner both friendship. They really mean a lot. Me too. I think I have my brothers from the fellow survivors community and sisters. It's always beautiful.
Yeah, and some people you meet also in life, especially we don't live in Rwanda, so I have some who have become like family to me. So so I created, those people became like family. We share anything. I've learned we debate about things, and and also to me, I don't know if the question was about also what else I do when I need
the ways they support you are those people and how they support you. And also it can go actually the following question was, in which ways from how they support you and how do you support others?
They, when you have those people around you who you listen to each other's heart.
Listening to your heart.
Yes, listening to your heart, because I found it's very deep. You support each other, you help each other in a way. It's not like they help me only. So I'm there for them whenever, anytime they need me. So if I don't have necessary to give anything, as long as you're there, you're present, you listen to each other's heart. I found it's very, as I get older, age I am right now. So I found that when you go through the journey of healing, you also get the right person on your side.
Yes.
Because they change. It's not like I keep the people that I've had before. Some of them who, through the journey you are in a season, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. Even relationships are seasonal. Now, even my kids, I'm not gonna have them with me forever. They're not gonna have me forever. Every relationship has a season, and they serve for the purpose of that season.
Yes. it has changed a lot over the years for the purpose for each season. And now even I get a new friends right now too, where I feel like, oh, I'm connecting with this person even though we didn't know each other
Yes.
for a long time. But the season I am now, it's allowing me to connect with that person. So, and I think to me, I find that as the time goes by, even I always, learn from whatever season and whatever season I am now, and also embrace it, and also whoever is part of that world with me. And I really appreciated that person. Even before, I appreciate that too. So, I always be appreciative for every time I am and wherever I meet. I always believe that if I work on myself more, so that's one thing I've learned on myself, to work on myself more so that I can attract the right person.
Absolutely.
Heart, not
There's someone who said, if you want to be loved, you have to love. Yes. If you want to receive kindness, everything you need, you have to give it.
Yes.
You can't just complain, I don't have this, nobody loves me. How do you love others? How do you support others? And I think those are really, and I like that you mentioned how those relationships are for seasons. Like, Consolee, we might be speaking maybe in a particular season in a year, and I know that next year I can count on you. And I know, and I feel like, many times we miss on friendship, good relationship, because we expect people to be all in one. And I love someone who said, learn what type of friends you have. It can be a friend for the gym. It can be a friend that we talk about my survival, a friend that we talk about marriage, a friend we talk about parenting, single life. We have to learn how to define and separate friendship so that we can benefit from that without necessarily. Of course, there's always that one person that speaks.
There will always be those best friends, but everyone has something to offer. You learn. You're absolutely right. There's one friend you can debate about. You can talk about who loves to talk maybe about justice issues and politics and all that. That person loves to. Those conversations you learn something from. So, and you're absolutely right to appreciate everyone in your life. And I really I love to learn from people. So
yes,
I love to learn from people. It doesn't matter who they are. That's why I like to, always, because I want to also feel like whenever I learn, I'm also able to be there for others too. So
thank you. And I want to know, when you think about your loved ones that you lost, even your different type of losses, what kind of gifts or contribution do you think they brought in your life?
Oh, that's a very good question. I feel that the people that I've lost, the gifts they left in my life, I think they brought in my life. That's the question you asked. I feel like it's love and kindness to me. I feel every person that I've known in my life, the people that I've lost, whenever I think about them, I always every person, I always no matter what I think about them, it always comes to love and kindness. And, I'm really grateful that there's those people that I've had that I can, who are much close to me, that I learn those kind of things from. I feel like those are, and I feel like they give me a reason to live. Those gifts give me a reason to live, and also to feel like for whatever short period of time I'm here on this earth, I have to always do my best I could to be on the side of love, to be on the side of kindness instead of.
And I need to know this gift of love and kindness.
Mm.
How did they make possible? What did they make possible for your life?
Mm-hmm. Those gifts, to me, I think they gave me the strength to want to hold on to life.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to see that no matter what I've gone through, but still I needed to always no matter what I do, no matter what I've gone through, no matter what pain I've endured, I always need to always look on the side of love, to love. With everything I do in my life, it has to come from a place of love instead of.
Wow.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter how small, it doesn't matter how big. So it has to come from a place of love because, of course, but that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to show my pain. But I show my pain. But I need to show what I'm going, whatever I'm going through within. So it has taught me actually to find the right, to learn how to find the right ways to deal with every pain that I go through.
Wow.
Right?
That's a big one. That's a big one. The kindness, the love they shared with you.
They shared
it helps you to deal with your own pain. And yeah, that's really, really a big one. And
maybe one thing I can add, have someone be loving and kind, that doesn't mean they can't show the pain. Can express the pain they go through. Because I don't know if you want to explain on that. So when somebody is going through pain and suffering, that doesn't mean they are unkind or they are loving.
Yeah, because many people confuse being nice and being kind.
Yeah.
I think I wrote on that recently. People can be nice without being kind to you. I think someone gave an example of you pass on the road, you see a homeless who's hungry, and you be like, oh, wow, oh, this is a homeless, right? But you do nothing to them. You are nice, but you do nothing. Somebody else pass by, they don't even smile to the homeless. They don't even, maybe, but they go on, purchase the food, and come hand it to them. That's kindness. So, and I think we have different ways of showing kindness, and people can misunderstand, especially for people who have experienced pain and trauma. We are actually big on loving and being kind because we know what it means to know having that. Because we respond differently to traumatic impact. Sometimes I did not receive love, then from the pain, it can be like, why do I have to give that if I never received that? But in many ways, sometimes I hear many conversation about, oh, don't date someone who have experienced trauma or whatever. They don't know how to love, or they don't know how to be loved. They don't know how to receive that. There's always, I'm telling you, if you say those identity, we are always crucified in many ways. It's like, oh, before you love them, make sure you take them to therapy so they can heal. It's like, we are a project to everyone. But at the same time, I remember asking that question to my professor for one course about trauma. And he was saying, I was like, why all the time people say that people have experienced trauma, if they don't heal, they project their trauma towards others. And we hear all the time, heal first, heal first. And he's like, actually, by research, people who have experienced trauma do not wish to pass on that trauma to other people.
No.
And people confuse bad behavior with trauma symptoms. Just because, I might have trauma that I have experienced, and maybe those behaviors can be rooted in untreated pain. However, we have to make a difference from bad behavior with people who have with trauma survivors lifestyle. Because we have many people with bad behaviors. Now somebody does something bad, they have trauma that they did not heal. Every time you hear someone does something bad, that's a mental illness. Someone, can we stop really comparing bad behavior to trauma and mental challenges?
No, every time as you were saying that, I was thinking about many people that I know who even still suffer a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But the most kindest, loving people. You've seen widows, women widows.
Yeah, we even go beyond, because I feel like we actually, and I feel like one of the things survivors need to unlearn, it's giving more than we can give to ourselves. I'm learning too. One of the things that I had to struggle with was learning how to receive love without the need to feel like I have to pay back. Because every form of love I received at the genocide against the Tutsi, it felt like I had to give back. It's like somebody loved me with intention and expecting something. Especially even on survivors of sexual violence, it can transmit that message.
Yes.
Or even any other survivor, because we do not expect much. Any small love we receive,
it's almost as if you have to do something.
Oh my God, somebody sent me a message. I have to send a message back. I had to unlearn that through therapy, and I continue to practice that. Even apologizing a lot. They need to apologize.
I'm still unlearning too. I feel like I have to do, to respond a certain way. I have to show that I'm appreciative.
Yeah, every time, you are appreciating something small. Oh my God, thank you so much for changing my life. Thank you so much. It goes back to even in marriages. I think it's going to be another topic where their spouses, if they're not survivors, it feels like they saved you. Oh my God, you changed my life. Oh my God, you saved, and you live like I owe you something.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
And remembering that marriage is not like a Red Cross or HCR project. It's a romantic love story situation. So those things, I feel like for survivors, even when I think about my sister who passed on in 2018, the funeral, there were like 800 people, I'm like every time they describe her, she was nice, she was kind, selfless, giving. I'm like, when I die, if people describe me, I don't want that. Because I'm like, this is where we give more. We suppress. It's like,
you're not hearing much of how did I show up for that person.
Yeah, or even like
about what they did.
We don't show up for ourselves. We show up more for others. There's someone who was saying at the Saying Hello event, he was saying like, it was more like repeatedly, I have to do this for them. I have to do it for them. And this lady asked, how about you? How about you?
It just remind me something. We don't hear much of like, oh, that person, took care of herself. Like to be more appreciative of how they showed up for themselves. You don't hear that. I hear more of like they were doing this to this and this and this and that. That's more. You're right. How can we? You're right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. Even like you said that how they expect us to be more grateful. More grateful. Any little thing, oh my God, you should be appreciating that.
Mm-hmm.
And we end up giving so much, doing so much.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like because we know what it means not to be loved or be appreciated, when we do it, we go beyond and above. And I feel like, we empty our cups often and we don't receive, we don't get to refill our cup. Wow. I think,
and I'm glad you mentioned that, really. Yeah, so important.
There's this lady, sister, may she rest in peace, Berthe. She was known she's one of the founders of IRG. You know Berthe?
Oh my God, we knew each other.
I'm like, we need to bring
whenever
back
I think
her.
about
We need
whenever
to.
I think about her, whenever I think about her, my heart breaks. Like how
Bert, I don't want to take any credit, but I just want to mention that her last hour, I'm one of the people who was with her when they took her in the surgery that took her. So the final time. But that's not the space, because this is not about me. This is about her family, her sisters, her siblings. We went to the same school together, her siblings. And we're sending you love. Ange,
everybody.
The work of Bert, I was telling Ange, I'm like, Berthe's work right now is the work we need for research. She wrote a book. She was advocating for the survivors. How did they call them in Kinyarwanda? Children of survivor who were in charge of their siblings. It's like
Abana birera.
Abana birera. Yeah, abana birera. It's like,
head of household.
Yeah. There is a name to that, who become primary caregivers after losing their parent to the genocide against the Tutsi. And she was advocating for that a lot. And I was telling Aunt, we need to bring Berthe's work. We need that work more than ever in this time when many survivors are really suffering from untreated trauma, because it can help us to understand what are the needs that survivors have now. Bert may rest in peace, but we have a responsibility to carry on using your story, the work you have used, and Berthe's work. I feel like Berthe's work can be the umbrella of stories being shared to continue caring for survivors in our community.
Yeah. He was one of those people that it took me a long time to think that she was not going to be here any longer.
I know.
It was so hard to think that she's not going to be here again.
Do you know one of the things she told the doctor when they told her how the procedure was going to be, how they were like chance 50-50? And then she said, I have an opportunity, speaking engagement in new ways, where she was supposed to meet the UN secretary at that time. She was always big on her work. That woman was
really dedicated her life.
And she's like, if this is gonna be my final time, can I go to that event and then come back to the surgery? I always think about it. I always.
Wow. Can you see how hard it was, like, for her work,
I always think about it, and I'm like, I was new to this country, and I know Anja as well was new, not too but it was too quick what happened to her. It was like those sudden loss. And I'm like, with what we know right now, we could have waited. Like, with what we know right now, we could be like, let's wait. But then the doctor was like, even if we... One moment. Anyhow, we talking
May
about
God rest
birth,
our soul. Yeah. Oh my
talking
God.
about even other people we have lost and we continue to lose from untreated trauma.
Hmm?
If people with capacity listening to this, we need to work so hard
Yes.
on saving survivors we have left by improving the healing trauma work that we have now. Because, this is Belt, this is Lissy, my sister, this is many others
Yes.
out there that we hear their stories, and because healing trauma, you can give someone 5 therapy sessions.
Yeah.
You have to be like, a room is open for you, you're gonna show up until you feel ready. And that's not easy, it's a lot of work, but I feel like, the well-being of the people is important. And I think like if it's about training more trauma therapists, training, local, I think they call them social therapists, training them, we have to do something to make sure that we are supporting.
Yeah. Actually, as you were mentioning that, I remember when before I decided to go to therapy,
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a migraine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like even my heart, my doctor told me my heart was not like beating normal. My heart was not beating the right way. So I used to have like a migraine of one side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Every time I will be walking, if I'm, for instance, I'm on the road or somewhere walking,
Mm-hmm.
By the time I'm about to cross the street,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes whenever I feel like a shock on my head, I
Oh
will
my
stop.
God.
Yeah, I will have to stop for
Yes.
at least 5 seconds. So I used to say a lot what would happen if I cross the street, a car will run over me or something. I used to worry a lot, but therapy really helps. Really, as soon as I did started to work on therapy and all that, so it helped. Really, all of a sudden, my heart, everything changed and my migraine went, the side of
Wow.
it. So I can imagine what any untreated trauma, what it can do to our bodies. And
Yes.
we are losing a lot of people because of
We
that.
used to say in our culture, there is a word that says, pain cannot kill you, but it makes you ugly. It's like agahinda nikica kagira mubi. I'm trying to translate, but that's not the reality anymore. Pain can really kill you. That's major depression and all of that. I remember this guy when we were doing Berthe's funeral, who said he was one of closest friend to Bert, and he was like, Bert, the pain did not. No. What was happening? The genocide did not kill you, but now the pain took you.
Took you.
Oh my God! When he was saying that, all of us were like, But anyhow, we survivors, we are doing the work, advocating for our rights, terminology, fighting deniers. We are the one also. We have to get this done. One of the way of carrying their legacy. If there is anything needed, we're gonna come together for our people so they can get support.
And I remember one thing you mentioned earlier when we were talking about. I think we were just having a conversation earlier before this conversation. I remember you something we mentioned. You mentioned how based on your success in your life, or somebody who's never been successful in life, survivors who some of them were very successful, others were not successful, or comparing the two.
Yes.
And or even thinking that the person who is successful might not have problems, and it's not.
Like our healing is associated to our professional success.
Using the right words, yes.
So if there is a survivor, if I post a picture, I lost my parent, but now I have my kids in the marriage, I graduated, And now it's good. Those things keep us alive. Those things keep us alive, but that's not the meaning of healing of the trauma wound. Because we have people like Bert and my sister, they're a good example. Top professional, successful career, but this pain took them.
Yes.
This impact of the unhealed trauma took them. So, and I feel like when we say that, we are putting so much pressure to survivors. When we have one of us who is not able, like Consolee saying, I will sit in class and my brain will go blank. My report card will be red. When we see people like that, then they have no act. We like, what's going on with you? You know, you're gonna, especially I feel like we have something, or we're gonna make them proud. We don't want them to see them like, to see us suffering. But at the same time, our response to trauma is different. The way our brain process and cope, trauma is a brain injury.
Yeah,
in a simple way, a brain injury, and we never know when it's gonna come to us, be like, sis, brother, now it's time to sit down and either you cope with this. And Clarice said, we have no luxury to process, because processing and healing requires you to slow down, take a break, meditate, go on a walk, eat healthy. And we have people to take care of. We have families. We are responsible. We have to keep running. So this conversation can be forever. And this is one of the examples we can continue to talk about. As we close this, I need to ask you, and give us your feedback on social media. That encourages us to find ways to continue bringing this conversation, not only on the podcast, we can even bring this conversation to your community in person. But I want to ask you, the last part is about hopes, dreams, and values. Are there hopes and dreams and values that you shared with your loved ones that you lost, and you wish to continue them?
One of the things that I feel like, especially for me, every day, whenever I get up in the morning, I'm so grateful to be alive. So I always feel like I need to be appreciative of life, small things in life, and I think that my family will be happy that I'm doing my best I could to share life. And one of the things that I feel so is so important that I think they will be proud of. I don't know if I'm answering the question the way you asked me. I feel like I forgot how you asked me.
No. It's about dreams. Our loved ones had dreams and hopes, but then their lives were robbed. And you wish, and we keep talking about carrying. I think for survivors, every survivor you hear, they're always like, I'm doing this for them. That's like carrying on their legacies. So, something you wish to continue.
And one of the things that I feel like it's so important, and I think they will be happy for me to continue, is to, whenever in every way I can, just to make sure I continue to appreciate life first for me, and be grateful, and also to just be someone that they will be proud of in whatever thing I do in my life, in whatever ways I contribute to the well-being of others. just not be a problem. I don't think they would want me to be a problem. They want me to be someone brings at least, something positive to whatever I do in my life. So something positive.
And I'm always coming to you, be like, Consolee, I don't get how you are so positive and loving here. But I am not your neighbor in this situation, but not that I don't know your parent, your dad, or your family that you lost, or anything that you lost that meant so much to you. But I know that they will be so proud, because already we are all so proud, okay? We are proud. No doubt that they will be so proud.
Yeah. And thank you so much, really, for your kind words. And I feel like for whatever time I have on this earth, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. I want to be able to have a life that at least whatever small contribution I put on this earth, that it will be a contribution that helps everyone to feel heard and seen.
Yes.
Whoever I encounter in my life, whether the people that I meet in person or not. And also to make sure, whoever sees me, when they think about them, at least they think that, whenever they see me where they are in heaven, at least they are proud of me. At least they are saying,
oh, absolutely.
She's doing whatever she could in her own, small way to live a life, a positive life, and a life that whatever any other generation comes can learn from. So I want to, and also to make sure that my life on this earth is to make sure they are not forgotten. So also be remembered. Yes. And I do also the best I could to make sure they are not forgotten. And at the same time appreciating my existence here on earth, taking care of myself. And I think they will love me to take care of myself, take care of my heart.
Take care of your heart.
Take care of my heart.
Finishing this conversation, I want to ask to our audience, do you have someone to listen to your heart? Umunumva umutima wawe. That's Consolee. That's Consolee, something she left with us.
Thank you.
Do you share with us on our social media? Do you have someone who listens to your heart? So, anyhow, thank you so much. Would you mind sharing where people can find you on social media? And then we...
Thank you so much for having
how
me.
People can reach out to you if they want you to, because you do the work of speaking to communities. Ways they can reach you.
I can be found on my website, my social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn. And also my website, www.consolee.org. So yes, I can be reached in those platforms, and also my book that you mentioned earlier.
Yes,
I mentioned that earlier. So
anyhow, we're gonna post also your information on our social media this week. Consolee, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I just want to tell everybody, you are loved. You take care of yourselves, take care of your heart, and I'm sending you my love.
Thank you. Thank you so much for loving us, and we hope that you understand that we love you back as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. That's it for the week. We hope you gathered your dose of resilience for the week ahead. Follow Gen 365 podcast to know when the next episode comes up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, or Google Podcasts. Share with your friends, community, and family, and do not also forget to follow and share feedback or questions on our community organization social media at Beyond the Veil Mission on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Or learn more about our work via our website at www.beyondtheveilmission.com. In the spirit of building resourceful, stronger communities, we can also help your community or business or organization to share your news and event on our podcast. Please email us for collaboration at podcastgen365@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye.